Lorenzo is a 16-year-old kid from Guadalajara, Mexico. He's an only child to two lower middle-class parents. He trains every day hoping he could become a professional soccer player. School year's about to finish, so he's looking to get a summer job to help out with the bills. He sees a job ad online for a call center operator. Without hesitation, Lorenzo calls the number. A soft-spoken woman answers the phone. She tells him he needs to do an in-person interview today. He immediately jumps on a 45-minute bus ride to a location just outside the city. But upon arrival, a bunch of dudes wearing suits put him on another bus with 15 other teenagers. They tell them the interview is held in another office. At first, things looked normal, but when the bus took an off-road exit, things quickly got weird. The suited guys take their phones and forcefully blindfold them. They stop at a remote ranch in the middle of nowhere. Lorenzo knows he just got kidnapped, but what he still hasn't realized yet is that things are much worse. He's in the Cartels Sicario training camp, the place where they take the phrase do or die literally. What happens here and who are the parties involved? This is what happens inside the Cartel's real-life Hunger Games. This is how cartel hitmen are made. Organized crime in Mexico isn't new. In fact, it's been around for decades, really starting to take their current structured form back in the 1960s. And just like any organization, they need labor. This labor isn't just about moving drugs across borders. They also need people to maintain discipline and act as sicarios, the gunmen who enforce the cartel's will. For a long time, this recruitment was pretty informal. In the 90s and 2000s, they'd hit up bars and clubs, or send people out to poor neighborhoods looking for young guys who were already causing trouble or seemed they could be molded. But over the last 7 or 8 years, as Mexico has seen these organizations operate with more impunity, the recruitment has become much more forceful.
Nosotros no vamos a permitir que intervenga ningún gobierno extranjero.
They're now forcibly recruiting individuals who might not have been ideal candidates before, dragging them into the cartel's expanding operations. But although the cartel's recruitment hacks have become more and more blatant, they still use unpredictable, sneaky ways. They usually set up fake companies, pretending to be successfully expanding. Commerce shops, call centers, construction companies, and the list goes on. They post job openings and wait for desperate young guys to apply. Then, they usually invite those candidates to a fake location. These candidates are then lured into a trap, where they take their phones and force them to stay silent. The batch of young candidates are then transported to an isolated remote facility where they may never see their families ever again. Lorenzo gets off the bus along with 15 others. 2 cartel members remove their blindfolds. They're on a farm somewhere outside Guadalajara. An armed, masked sicario instructs the group to form a line. He walks past them slowly, staring right into their souls. Some boys are so terrified that they start crying. Then the sicario starts telling his introduction speech, basically informing the young group that they'd been chosen to get trained and join the cartel, and that any disobedience or cowardice would result in extremely severe consequences. For the next 30 days, they would be trained and groomed to be the next sicarios. But first, they're guided to their rooms, 2 by 3 meter boxes that open directly onto the training ground. Each room or cell has a small window, shut with steel bars. The cells are completely empty, except for cardboard sheets to sleep on. Doors are locked from the outside, and they're only allowed out if it's to the bathroom. 4-meter concrete walls limit the farm topped with shattered glass, making it almost impossible to climb over. The cartel's perfect place to groom, train, and make everything and anyone disappear. Lorenzo takes a deep breath and closes his eyes. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. Teuchitlan, Mexico. Some called it the Ranch of Death, an isolated ranch of squat buildings enclosed by a tall wall and fields. Back in September 2024, the discovery by activists of underground ovens and 200 pairs of shoes in an extermination camp horrified Mexico. A group of citizens searching for missing relatives in the western state of Jalisco arrived at a remote ranch outside Mexico's second largest city. On an anonymous tip, all they had to do was push open the unlocked gate, Inside, they went to work with simple tools, picks, shovels, and metal bars, doing the work that state investigators supposedly had done 6 months earlier. What they found embarrassed state authorities and shook Mexico. Dozens of shoes, heaps of clothing, and what appeared to be human bone fragments. The ranch served as a training base for cartel recruits. For a while, the investigation was quiet until members of the Jalisco Search Warriors visited the site. The ground felt inconsistent. They dug holes and found underground ovens. The state prosecutor said that investigators had found 6 groups of bones, but it was unclear how many victims they could belong to. He did not provide details on why investigators had previously failed to find what the untrained private citizens did, but we all know what that means. These places exist all over the country. Mexico is full of mass graves. Several people claiming to be survivors came forward with testimonies describing how they were lured to the ranch with fake offers of work. Their accounts coincide with previous reports of forced recruitment in which young people responded to job adverts online before being kidnapped and held in dire conditions. They were both victimized and forced to victimize others to survive. Back at the farm, Lorenzo and his classmates are woken up at dawn. These cartel camps operate with extreme military-style discipline. Real-life hitmen are the instructors inside the camp. But to start the day, there's no breakfast and saluting the flag. Instead, candidates are forced to consume heavy drugs, coke, meth, psych pills, and more. Hitmen who run the camp make sure the candidates are fully drugged out during the process. For them, drugs is a way of numbing not just your body, but your conscience. Lorenzo is taught how to use a gun, how to shank, the cartel's codes, and most importantly, how to obey. They use threats and intimidation to guarantee compliance. Anyone who refuses to execute a command or tries to escape is simply shot dead. After a few days of basic training, it's time for the group's first missions. The farm door opens and 15 random tied and blindfolded people are guided towards the yard. They get on their knees and are told to stay quiet. The main hitman tells the candidates that these are bad people who've betrayed the organization, basically rats who need to be taken care of. Another hitman brings gardening tools and throws them close by. Lorenzo immediately knew the assignment. Each of the candidates are told to grab a gun and stand behind one person. The task is simple: shoot or be shot. With time, the number of candidates decreases, not because they leave, but because they get eliminated by other candidates who execute every command given to them. Disposal of bodies, extortion, violent interrogations, debt collecting, the list is infinite. The Tujitlan farm is a reminder of Mexico's more than 120,000 disappeared. Jalisco alone has almost 15,000 missing people. It is also the stronghold of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, which was recently declared a foreign terrorist organization by the Trump administration. Researchers have come up with an estimate of 175,000 people directly working for the cartels. Cartels are getting stronger by the day. Suitcases, shoes, and dreams are still left on the farm. Subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.